I've almost had this question for years now, and I know you've answered it in terms of like link building services and how you charge. But I've never felt like I was able to get a um, I felt like I was never able to make it profitable when I did it myself, as opposed to just buying them from like the No BS links or whatever. Um, have you? Did it take you a long time to kind of decide to do it in house, or do you kind of vacillate back and forth between whether it's more profitable to buy or not?
So for clients right now, we're just buying.
Okay.
We've built a really good relationship with No BS. Also, Loganics, who just added into for Blueprint members 15% off lifetime, which is really good.
Okay.
Yeah, check the Blueprint specific Slack channel for that. And announced it yesterday. And the reason is too is that we've also gotten a lot more choice with the clients that we're working at. Like, meaning 2 years ago, I was trying to land like a Campbell's, but now I realize that like working with people like yourself is it's more work. Actually, we get paid more, but when you work with people on the other end who are like really knowledgeable and really smart, you might get paid more, but it requires kind of a lot more work. So we're actually like targeting, as bad as it sounds, we're targeting clients that they know and understand the value of SEO, but they're not necessarily going to nitpick over like every link that we build, right?
Yes.
So, and that's a good thing about working with mental health people. Again, they understand the value of it, but they're not going to be like, this link wasn't from Forbes. Like, you're not doing what you told us to do. Right.
Right.
So as you continue to build your agency, you'll start to realize like that the information that you put out needs to be congruent with the information that you're telling during a consult, and then also align with what you're delivering. Right. So, we used to do a lot. I used to create a lot. There's a reason why I don't create a lot of content on outreach anymore, because I don't want to attract those type of people in the business. We were getting a lot of leads for link building, expecting that type of work.
Right.
But, at the end of the day, like outreach is really, really best done like that for your own property. So I have a VA right now who's, I actually picked him up from the Blueprint. It's hard to call him a VA. He's more of a strategist. We pay him like $15 an hour. And he's doing outreach for our portfolio of companies.
Nice.
More so we have this plugin, Capture Convert, that we just launched. He's doing outreach to YouTube influencers to try and get them to do a video. Much more one-to-one stuff. Like, outreach works when it's one-to-one, and the quality of what you get is much better. But when we're talking about doing this over a portfolio of clients for like 5, 10, 15, 20 clients who are only paying you a couple $1,000 a month, it's just not economically viable. So we will buy the links. We'll tell them that we're doing the outreach and that we're going to pay for it. Because the way I look at it too, that it might seem deceitful, but it's not, because No BS is doing the outreach and the prospecting. We're just paying them for that. Mm-hmm. So, they're not using PBNs. Again, like, we still screen all the links. I know Aaron does an amazing job there. Adam from Loganics as well. So I trust them to take a lot of that legwork off of us. And then we're still paying the same amount for a link, and I'm able to pass that cost to the client too. So we're basically getting paid to do something just to manage that. It's kind of like an additional profit built into the contract.
That's exactly what I was wondering, actually, because I kept trying to do the math, and I was like, this.
Yeah, what I've been telling people a lot is the link building training that we have in there is still amazing. Like, Adam from Loganics and Aaron both it's how they build their companies off the back of it. They've told me that. But they're only doing link building, right? They're not doing keyword research and technical SEO. So it's just too much so what I'm telling people now is, if you're in the Blueprint, like, you either go the SEO, if you're just getting started, you go the SEO route or the link building. And then over time, as you build those companies up and you're looking for a way to expand, then you start to offer outreach. But when you do outreach now, in my opinion, you should be doing premium placement outreach, meaning you're going to be getting paid $1,000 plus per placement, which will give you the margin to then hire the right people to build that team. Otherwise, it's just not, like, you'll never make it work. And that's kind of my biggest mistake. When I built the training, was that I was mainly doing link building then. And then we were doing link outreach in house, but like, it wasn't overly profitable. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now that I've come kind of full circle on the agency things and realized that, like, you guys are really listening to what I'm saying. Like, I want to make sure that you guys are understanding of what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it. And now all of our client work is being pushed to third party. It's just like writing content. Like, I don't think writing content for clients is a good idea anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of headaches and shit that comes up, like, you just do the content strategy, provide them an outline, and let them handle it,
Right.
It's not worth $100.
Right, exactly. That's actually those were the two areas where I was just like, I'm like, what wizardry is he doing on the back end? Because I couldn't for the life of me make it economically viable for myself.
Yeah.
And then you get people who are asking for link building, but they expect the world and want to pay nothing for it.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And then on the service side, I know you guys do, like hourly and rate by title. So I actually had a therapist yesterday, or his marketing guy rather, who was asking me about, in regards to Facebook ads, a cost per lead model. Have you ever agreed to it or had someone propose it?
Not for SEO all the time, dude. People come up with all sorts of shit with me. Be like, you want a partner? I'll give you 50%. I'm like, no, because I have to do all the work and then you make the money off it. Like, you're not going to make any money if you don't have me. So, the way I look at SEO now is that it's kind of like web development. Like, it's kind of like just a cost that you have. Like, if you want traffic, you got to invest in it, and it's too volatile for me as a business owner to take you on as that. There's obviously massive upside if you can get, like, if you really believe that and you think that, like, if the space is right and, they're just a few links away from ranking higher, then yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't work like it used to. Like, if you would ask me that 4 or 5 years ago, I'd be like, dude, absolutely. If somebody will pay you per lead or give you a profit share, rev share, because it was so much easier,
Right.
But it's just not the case anymore. You could do that for advertising because you can understand, like, and that's the other thing too, is business owners will offer that to you thinking that, like, you're just sitting on your thumbs and waiting for traffic to grow. But, like, there's so much time that goes into it. Especially when you have a team, like, you're paying for that work.
Right.
The risk is all on you. So no, I mean, I would never take a deal like that anymore.
Okay.
Maybe with pay-per-click, but I don't know enough about pay-per-click. Like, if you're a really good advertiser and I know a lot of people that do it with Facebook. I wouldn't even do it with Facebook ads personally, because I still think that's very volatile. And, like, the amount of time and effort that goes into doing a top tier Facebook ads campaign is ridiculous.
Yeah, this was for Facebook ads specifically, especially now, because from an SEO standpoint, I'm a little bit in a place of where I can offer someone, like, standard SEO, but also I've found a way to kind of, like, reverse engineer or manipulate the map pack to land clients in there, like, pretty consistently. And so the problem is now is that is designed around you going somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, and no one's going to go anywhere right now. So he was saying, like, oh, we'll pay you X dollars per lead, for Facebook, but that includes that's like with the media, with ad spend built into the lead cost. And I was just like, dude, there's going to have to be some sort of, like, minimum that you pay. I can't just take on 100% of the risk like that.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's not worth it. Like, if you know something I don't know about ranking the maps pack and you feel comfortable with it, then, like, I like, there's nothing wrong with trying it out. But, I'm in the mindset now, just having been doing this for so long now, where, like, anything that deviates from the core process is bad for business. Like, if you have to go out of your way to accommodate one client who's not paying you, you know what I'm saying? And it's taking more of your mental stress, time, team's time. It's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, we're in a very amazing industry where, like, leads are always going to be there. Like, even now you realize, like, as bad as it sounds, like, there's probably going to end up being a boom for our services. Like, a lot of companies that were, like, still, like, hesitant on the internet 6 months from now, like, I foresee the digital space being even bigger than what it is now. So people are going to be willing to pay for you, dude, especially, like, once you build out, like, again, you have that authority, you've worked for these companies, make sure people know that, like, that should be in all your pitch decks and everything too, like, who you, like, a slide about you, what you are, what you've done, like, that's going to be a big selling point for you getting off the ground.
Right.
Like, it's just kind of, I don't want to say I laugh at people when they come with those deals, but I almost take it as a sign of disrespect when it's kind of like, dude, I just know.
Yeah. No, I had a guy in Tampa, who was like a moving, he was the third party, moving contractor. So he coordinated the contractors with the trucks. And he's like, listen, get me, X, Y, and Z, and then, we'll work together. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll get my lawyer to like write something up. And I was just like, dude, you're asking me to do work for free.
Yeah.
And then what he told me was, he was like, oh, it's only like a couple hours after, you put the kids down or whatever. And I was like, dude, kids are not, like, I don't even have kids. And
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think working with people like that, I get where he's coming from. I'm not disrespecting him, but like, it's just not worth it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not worth it. And again, the more that you get into this, the more that like, this is something, because I have somebody who's basically running your company right now, the agency side of things. He's starting to take all the sales calls, and I'm like teaching him the small things to look for in those conversations during these consultations with people. Like, even if they're willing to pay you 10 grand a month, like, it's not always worth it, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain people that are just time, energy, emotional drains on the company that you're better off without that 100 grand for the year. As crazy as that sounds, you start to understand the value of your time, like really like what your time is actually worth, not what you think it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
And when that's applied to other things, like you think about now your time, if you're able to spend 40 hours, getting together this documentation to kind of like get this agency thing and head in a different direction, like the value of that time could pay off to be millions of dollars if you think about it, so you have to be like overly conscious of your time because that's what we're selling, So yeah, don't do free work. And I would, from an SEO point of view, I would strongly stay away from anyone who wants to compensate you based on results.
Okay. One last thing, it kind of ties the ads and branding together. I haven't seen, I've seen your ads all over the place, but I can't remember seeing, do you have like personal, like brand awareness, like as you, so like, you said, make sure that kind of stuff is everywhere. Do you ever use ads to make people aware of like you and your background?
At different levels, not necessarily like that. You got to understand that people only care about that if they're like really interested in you. So, when you're advertising, you always have to keep in mind that you're getting people to stop what they're doing. It has to be something that they're interested to, so I would never run an ad that's necessarily like, hey, my name is Ryan, I've done this, this, and this, because people would just negative bomb you in the comments nonstop.
Yeah, good point.
Shit, fuck you. Like, but so like what I like to do is kind of tuck that away. Like I'm at a loss for words to what to call it right now, but I guess humble brag is like the right way to do it, right? Like humble bragging is kind of the way that you want to do it, but you want to do it on a property where like people have clicked kind of to opt into, like they click on an ad, they've chose to go to your website. So like, yeah, you
right.
Website, but you want to use your advertising to be much more value based. Because especially because there's so much garbage now, like everyone's selling, I sell a course, but like everyone's selling a course now,
Right.
So, whenever you're advertising, especially but like at the same time, I do advertise with that goal by just advertising content. Like I just advertise videos that I'm just trying to, like, my goal with is to build a 60-second video for, like, I have this running $50 a day for the last 6 months, just a 1-minute video. I'm continuously adding different 1-minute videos in there. That's like I just trying to teach somebody one thing with that video. That's my only goal. If I can do that and I can get them to watch that whole 60 seconds, then everything that you just mentioned will be accomplished. And then then they'll want to take that next step. They're like, okay, this dude's not a dickhead. Like, he knows what he's talking about. That's my whole goal. Like, all right, he's not a dickhead. Because then once they go through that, kind of, they watch that video, then I've got them kind of in my funnel.
Right.
And then you're going to see my ads all the time. You're going to find out who I am.
And so I know, I'm a certain type of client for your services, but when you're looking at non-agency work, it is the type of content that you create different in terms of, like, the value that you're trying to drive. I'm trying to think of, like, okay, if I'm trying to acquire, these clients in the mental health space, or just the general client space, what information might they be looking for? And is it a little bit different than someone like me who's looking for keyword research tips?
Yeah, definitely. I think, so for example, if you're going to build like an advertising funnel, first of all, you should definitely look into the sales module. I've got a ton of videos on, like, lead generation.
Okay. Yeah, I've been watching a couple of them. I just couldn't get through the entire thing.
It's a lot of information, I know. And I'm in the same place as Campbell's is right now. We're actually not focused on acquiring new customers. We're focused on getting you guys to go through it.
And use it.
Yeah, because that's where we get the most value, like,
Right.
we're getting more money off of it, but realistically we're making more, like, just like Campbell's is that, like, once we kind of clear that backspace, then you've got more inventory to sell in the future, you know. But if you buy the course for $3,000, you never go through it, you're probably never going to buy from us again, you know.
Yeah, good point.
So anyway, so the point is that you know, with your specific funnel, you always just have to ask yourself, like, you just have to put yourself in the shoes of a mental health counselor, right?
Okay.
So the same thing that we talked about when you're doing cold outreach, it very much so applies to video advertising. It's just, can you come up with 3 to 4 30 to 60 second videos that's helping them with one thing? So you could just do a very quick video to be like, hey, we're all going through tough times. You know, it's getting tougher to get people to come. Like, make sure you're addressing them too.
Right.
That's really important too with the Facebook ad algorithm, is that if you're kind of general, then it's going to spray your ad everywhere. But if you're literally saying and addressing and writing in your copy, like, to mental health therapists, do a much better job of matching that to that person. Kind of scary, but also good for advertisers. But so just like, you know, a very short, a quick, abrupt video. It's like, I know people aren't coming into your office anymore, but like, don't panic. There's ways that you can take your mental health practice online. Right. Like, the first thing that I suggest doing is maybe like setting up a Facebook community. Super easy to do. It's free to use. You can get all of your clients in there. You know, something like that. And then just advertising that. That's one.
Okay.
Just make sure that you're setting up your audiences to track anyone who's watched like 50% or more of that video.
Right. Yep.
And then after that, then you can start to remarket them other things. And as they watch more and more of your content, then you can start to hammer them more with, you know, hey, do you want to schedule a quick consult to talk about how we can help take your practice online? You know, something like that. And then but this is something that, like, you have to continuously test. You have to commit to it.
Right.
If you haven't advertised on Facebook before, it takes a while for Facebook to, it's just like Google's algorithm now. Like, Facebook, if you haven't spent a lot of money there and you haven't spent the time to, the money to help Facebook understand who your customer is, then your ads are not going to be targeted for a while. Like, we're talking about months and months and months of just like spending money to get people to click, to get people to convert. And then like, you're like, okay, like, now I get it. He's going after this subset of people. So now when you run your cold targeting, Facebook's not going to show it to people like me, you know. It'll be much more focused on that. So it's important. I mean, that's like the biggest piece of advice that I have for people who I think everyone should be advertising, because it's such a huge opportunity now, especially if you're willing to get on camera.
Right.
You know, and you've got the right niche, like I think you do now, like, there's not going to be much noise for people like you in there, which will allow you to break through a lot quicker. The key is really patience, man. Just like SEO, like, don't get frustrated when you don't get results, because you're going to have to spend hours maybe until you get your first lead, and some of your first leads will be shit. You know, we're going out Coding is for Losers. You know, we're just testing like different blog content, like what's making people click, like what's that average cost per click, just because that market is different than the blueprint. Like, I've got the blueprint now. All I need to do is feed it new content. That's it. It's set up. But with the other businesses, it takes time to like understand, you know, again, too, like the difference between David's audience, which is much more technical, and we're trying to take that broader to everyday marketers like yourself and myself. Like, what does that message have to be? We're finding that people are like getting offended by Coding is for Losers, the title, just a whole bunch.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I always thought it was kind of clever because I'm not a developer, but any coder who sees that's like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
You're a loser. But
and then I got people like my buddy who's helping me with like automation with my agency. He's like obsessed with no code stuff. He like loves that, and I feel like that, you know, that's like right up his alley, which is like the person who maybe, you know, I started out as an MIS major, and then I was like, fuck this, I don't want to do Java. Like, I don't want to be coding that all day.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we're at too, is, you know, understanding too that we live in a very divisive time, and like, our president is in office because he decided to just kind of be himself.
Yeah.
Put it all out there. And, you know, as much as I don't agree with his politics, like, it's just the fact, like, there's nothing wrong with drawing a line in the sand and being like, you might take offense to this, but we're not talking to you. And like, we're calling you a loser. Like, we're actually, you know, whatever. Point is that I agree with you 100%. And like, you'll find that too when you advertise, is that like, people are very trigger happy to like comment and kind of just like mother F you to death. But like, it is what it is, man. You know?
Yeah. Last thing, do you usually make the content before? So like, let's say I've got a bunch of awareness content. I don't have as much content in the middle for like consideration or, you know, for converting. Would you wait on advertising before until I have like things to satisfy those needs, or would you just kind of dive right in?
I mean, I think if you're creating content regularly right now, then you need an outlet to promote it, and that like Facebook is the best place to do that to me. So I don't think that you have to necessarily wait until like, and I think it's a good question because a lot of people will just kind of wait until things are perfect. Like I kind of fall into that trap too now. Like we have this other software company that we're like waiting until it's done, but at the same time, like we probably should be marketing it now just to kind of like attention, build awareness. But so like it's a tough question. I think that at the end of the day, like you're still investing in your recognition and your brand, your face, like people just knowing who you are. And that to me is the most valuable. It's more valuable than email list, more valuable. Like if people know who you are, then you can make money in this world. It's kind of that simple, you know? So I don't think it's too early. I think you just have to know how to balance it to like direct people in the right, you know, in the right way. So I think that if you have content, you have something to say now, you should be creating it and promoting it and just starting to get feedback, starting kind of again, like,
yeah, like I have a lead magnet that's like a 50-page ebook or something on essentially the importance of the local 3-pack and, you know, why as a business you need to be in there. And that's what I was going to use as my kind of you know, trigger to start building an email list and curating more content and engaging with these people. But I was like, oh shit, do I not have enough content? Because I haven't written an article in ages.
Yeah. I would say yes, and just use your best judgment, you know.
Okay.
But it's really never too early, in my opinion. You know.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, that was all that I had. Thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it. Yeah, keep kicking ass. I saw when you merged with From the Future or whatever. I was like, oh, that's in Philly where I am, and like Ian Howells, he's with
Traffic Think Tank. He's
in
another business. Yeah.
So I worked with Ian at GSI.
Oh, nice.
Or True Action back in the day.
Nice.
And that was back when I was in paid search, and he was like the all-knowing SEO guy. I think I was like 24, and I'm like, holy shit, it's crazy to just see these names pop back up. And then someone who I found online, just like looking for tips on things, which was you, to see that all kind of come together was really funny.
Yeah, it's a really big community, but it's also relatively small in terms of the people that are like making an effort to kind of like create content, which is, you know, like I said, the good thing about the SEO community is it's very big, it's very active, it's very vibrant for such kind of a dry space, if you think about it. But the people who really put in the time and it's funny too, because the SEO world is so much different from like the Gary Vaynerchuk world. Like the people in the SEO world are like, it's just a different persona. So they're almost like very kind of like standoffish towards people who are very like lavish and this and that, which is
right.
You know what I'm saying? But like the people who do know how to create the right type of content tend to rise up very quickly. And it's really just like creating content, getting active in communities, getting active on Twitter. And like, you can build yourself into like a reputable speaker, you know, agency person, like fairly quickly, which is good, you know, because a lot of people in the space are much more consumers instead of creators, which is great. If you're a creator and you want to create and you have the mental capacity, I guess is the wrong word, but if you're willing to do so, then you can have, you know.
I think it's just been for me the kind of like I spoke at Yext, their conference Onward, about their like answers product, and I was like, okay, that was, you know, my first time speaking on a panel as an expert. I can actually do this, because all I do is think about like we used to work with Merkle at Comcast, and you know, it was my foray into SEO, and I was like, all I remember is how I didn't know that much, and that you know, little person is still kind of saying like, well, you still don't know that much. But I talked to people like you and like Will Reynolds from Sear, and like he and I have gotten drinks, you know, in Philly all the time, because I got my friend a job at the agency through actually helping me out with my agency. So I was like, okay, maybe I can just put myself out there and start to kind of get my name out more than just, you know, the Comcast guy.
You definitely can, man. It takes time. It takes, but if you like doing it, then it's not really that big of a deal. You know,
right.
Like as you're building your agency, and I don't know what their limitations are at Campbell's or whatnot, but like if you're able to talk about what you're doing, that's the easiest thing to do. Like I think it's very interesting. This is just me personally. Like I would love to hear what they're doing at Campbell's to drive engagement. You know what I'm saying? Again, I don't know if you can talk about that, if they would let you. Might be something to look into, but like maybe you can just blur out the brand and be like, hey, I work at like a massive canned goods company, and like this is what we're going through. These are the problems that we're solving. I think people would find that very interesting. I would, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would love, because that's something that I'm actually relating to now, is like, how can we drive? Of course we want new people to come in, but like also how do we take the best care of the people that we have,
Right. Right.
Which I think is a really important conversation, especially right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, again, I appreciate your time. Those were all my questions. And, definitely we'll keep following and engaging on the Slack channel.
Awesome, brother. All right. We'll talk soon, man.
All right, man. Thanks.